Let's talk about the duty of news editor. The news department is the most important department of a newspaper, headed by a news editor who plans the news pages every day, and he or she looks after the news flow in the newsroom. The news editor takes on the responsibility of selecting and delivering the news to the public. The team of copy editors or sub-editors makes an exciting news selection for a newspaper. An efficient news editor heads the team. There can be no good newspaper without a good news editor. The news editor is an essential source for news and provide a leadership to the newsroom. News is not merely what happens, it is also what can be made to happen. The news editor is the man in charge of the daily schedule. He must ensure that all the items listed on the day are adequately covered in the newspaper. An alert news editor keeps an eye on the news schedule of the day. For example, when the parliamentary sessions are on, the news editor selects the important news of the day. In the news diary, he lists all the upcoming events. The news editor is expected to be aware of his reporter's special skill, and his primary concern is to see to it that most suitable reporters are allocated the diary events of the day. The news editor has a list of specialists and experts in various fields who can be contacted for an opinion on an emergent issues. An imaginative news editor will make his source list and never lose sight of the need to amend it. Some of these sources need checking every day. It is the news editor who will ensure that his reporters do this. The news editor has to deal with many aspects of collecting the news and making use of it. They will assign stories to reporters, liaise with the sub-editing and photography departments, and decide the priority and importance of news articles. They will also check for legal and ethical issues in a journalist copy. He is held responsible for all the news stories in a newspaper that denigrate individual or organization. He gives assignment to reporters in a publication center. He usually is a highly experienced journalist and must have made a considerable contribution to journalism. A good news editor will always be thinking ahead, not just about tomorrow morning news, but also about stories likely to happen in the near future. The news editor is the man who should be thinking of bright news ideas for his reporters and guide suitably. A competent news editor can make all the differences between an average newspaper and a first-rate product. Let's now move on. Chief Sub-Editor. The principal duty of a sub-editor is to scan all the words, digest the mass of copy, reject or accept, select or omit, and give the best to the reader. The chief sub-editor must have imagination, knowledge of political affairs, and insight. He should have a thorough knowledge of his city, state, country, people, and problems. He knows the working of the civic bodies, the legislature, and the courts. He plans the pages elegantly and keeps the news item in a balanced way. He is an expert in designing and laying out the news pages to make the paper look bright and vibrant. He must have the requisite expertise in selecting good stories from the mass of the news stories that flow from various sources. While distributing the copies to his sub-editor's team, He instructs the concerned sub-editors on the report's length, the size, and the type of headline, and the report placement in the newspaper. He keeps a note of the big stories meant for page 1. Sometimes the chief sub-editor spikes stories to keep steady flow of the copy sent to the printer and the latter use. Now comes to the sub-editor. Sub-editor plays a crucial role in the publication of a newspaper. The sub-editor's functions or responsibilities include receiving the copies from several sources, including the staff reporters, news agencies, and is filtered and made presentable. A sub-editor ensures that all copy reads well and is grammatically and factually correct. They edit stories to meet words limits. They design page layouts and write headlines. One of the role of a sub-editor is to write captions for photos. Captions are short, snappy sound bites of 15 to 25 words. Captions helps reader to understand the photo. They tell the reader what the photo itself cannot. The sub-editor is mainly responsible for how a newspaper is made and sent for printing. Hence, the newspaper's quality and style depend mainly on the good work of the sub-editor. We can say that the sub-editors prepare the copy for the printer and plays a crucial role in newspaper production. The post of a sub-editor comes with much responsibility and he or she must possess a certain quality to successfully and efficiently do the job. The sub-editor must be a man of judgment and ability. He must be conversant of the news values of everyday matters which come to his notice. He must possess strong editing skills and be competent to reduce a lengthy paragraph to its deserving size. He must possess the capability either to reduce or expand the subject matter as per his paper's need. He must have the nose for selecting the correct type of news. It is the sub-editor's task to decide what is going in tomorrow's newspaper and in which form. He has to separate the wheat from the chaff out of the significant number of news material. He should have an eye for accuracy. He must check the facts of a story for errors, if any. Sometimes a newspaper may receive several versions of a particular story from various sources. The staff reporter, the wire correspondent, gives the account may be at variance, yet the sub-editor's responsibility is to make the story clear. He must see that the story is based on fact and is clear from every angle for easy readability. He writes a suitable headline for the story, which is very important and is an onerous duty. He edits the story, cutting the unnecessary matter and trimming the length to the correct size according to the space where the chief sub-editor has allocated it. He checked the spelling of names and places so that these are not printed wrongly. A sub-editor must have sound knowledge of the language to correct grammar, capitalization, punctuation, and abbreviations. He must be able to assess the length of what the intro would be. He must learn to gauge how much space a story will take. He does this by examining the actual type of size that the paper uses. His instructions to the typesetter should be precise. A good sub-editor must have the knack of getting at the heart of the story quickly to give a good headline. Going through the local copy and news agency reports, he must find the proper intro at once. For reference, he must have essential references books with him for regular consultation. Further, he or she is a repertoire of knowledge to quickly rectify the mistakes committed in the newspaper's early edition. Let us summarize the duties of a sub-editor. The sub-editor has the following vital roles to perform. The news department is the most important department of a newspaper, headed by a news editor who plans the news pages every day, and he or she looks after the news flow in the newsroom. Checking of language, that is spelling, grammar, sentence construction, guardian of a newspaper policy, guardian against libel, guardian of style, like every newspaper has a style book that has to be followed, guardian of facts or accuracy, editing, layouts and headlines, and pacemaker. The business and sport desk deal with business and sports news respectively. The sports department is a separate wing in the newsroom itself, as it deals with nothing other than sports item. In most sports department, the sports sub-editor act as a reporters as well as sub-editors. The feature departments deals with various articles ranging from puzzle to advertising features, crosswords and articles by a specialist. The feature department also handles editorial occasionally. I would like to conclude the lecture by pointing out that the newspaper is a teamwork product every day. However, the editor or news editors need to cleverly plan the news pages to view the reader's interest. Each newspaper has a profile of readers who prefer to read the same newspaper daily, as they are accustomed to reading the same paper for many years. A newspaper always tries to maintain good relation with readers, which over time the newspaper develops loyalty and credibility among the readers. For instance, readers who read the Times of India in Mumbai for years prefer to read the same newspaper. For this purpose, the editors continue the relationship with the readers. Therefore, the news pages are prepared by editors to maintain that relationship with its trusted readers. Namaskar.